Over 7,000 calls a week come into the New Haven call center. About 2,000 of those are for emergencies. The rest would be better suited for a community crisis response team, a group of people specially trained to respond to social services like the ones that affect people here on the Green every day.
I see a lot of these people, if they're given a better environment and a clean space to medicate and treat, they can get better.
The New Haven Green is long known as a place of gathering for people with nowhere else to go. The ones here say they have seen situations escalated by police that could have been better suited for someone trained in a different field of response.
Then maybe they can attack the situation from a different aim, and then it doesn't necessarily lead to you killing a person, whether it's intentional or not.
The city of New Haven is laying the groundwork for an answer to that call with a community crisis response team. The groups of first responders would be trained experts in harm reduction, mental health, substance abuse, and other social support responses.
To ensure that people with the right skills and right experience arrive to provide the right care at the right time.
The team would arrive first on the scene to calls deemed best for their response. It would alleviate the burden on police while providing individuals better suited to administer care.
Will help reduce the rate at which people get arrested for non-criminal activities. It will also keep people away from the emergency room when they do not need it.
The city will begin reaching out to local groups already doing similar work and the community to formulate a plan while securing funding. They plan to get the first group of responders in the field by mid-2021.
This is not what defunding the police looks like. This is about providing the right services.
The city is calling this the future of policing, where law enforcement isn't the de facto response system for mental health crises. They hope those right services will reduce the stress on the criminal justice system while breaking part of the cycle that has contributed to systematic racism.
Everyone works together in New Haven, and no one does it like New Haven.
The city of New Haven is looking to be the first city in the state to implement a team like this. They say it's the first step of many, like investing in education as well as housing if they want to weaken systematic racism in the Elm City. In New Haven, Dave Puglisi, Fox 61 News.